Welcome, all ladies. We're glad to have you to our solo to social, fuel your body with meals and meaning with the lovely Jara Bauer. And like she said, a lot of you do look familiar. Some of you I've never seen before, but I think you're going to enjoy this talk. We're going to just come together and figure out some ways that we can eat healthier, be more social, and get rid of the isolation that some of us feel. Okay? If you don't mind, I would like to just pray over you before your meal comes. Is that okay? Father, I thank you for each person here. I thank you that we can come here and just be together, Lord, and learn ways to share with others, share our gifts, our talents, and our abilities. And we just thank you for the food that's coming. We pray your blessing over it in the hands that prepared it. In Jesus' name, amen. So when you think of solo to social, I wanted to tell you a little bit about that. Isolation happens in all age groups in all seasons, doesn't it? Whether you're in your 20s or 30s or whether you're older, you're going to experience some isolation. So I wanted to share a story with you about how that happened for me and how women your age brought me out of it. Okay? So when I was a child, my parents were young and they were very energetic, and we did a lot of things together as a family. We were in church together. We did sleigh riding, and my mom had us at the pool every summer. So we were really, really excited and happy to be together and do things together. We had a garden. We did all those things. And then by the time I got to middle school, things started fizzling out. The marriage started falling apart. They started fighting a lot. And so for about 4 years, it was dealing with that battle in the home. And I started feeling a little anxious, a little insecure, a little angry. All the things that are building, as you're trying to figure out who you are and grow up, right? I got very depressed, very, very isolated. My mom they ended up divorcing by the time I was 17. And she was working 3 jobs to support us. And he was in an apartment, she was in an apartment. And we were just trying to survive. So you can imagine how kids would feel isolated at that point. So I was in love with my high school sweetheart. We got married at 19. I met his family. His family was amazing. His parents had a long marriage. His grandparents had been married over 50 years. And I would go to their house every weekend. His grandmother would just have these meals. She would pull this. It didn't matter if it was just sausage and tomatoes out of the garden. She'd make this amazing gravy to put on it, have some green beans, and it was just like, it was absolutely fabulous. And we would play euchre, and we would laugh, and she would be losing, and she would get up, and she would run around the table, and she would say, I'm going to change the direction of this, the way this is going. And I mean, it was full of love. Just had that love and that belonging. And so I started feeling secure again. I started feeling a little bit more happy. And I started watching them. What was it about those 50-year marriages that had those people so content? It wasn't money, because they didn't have it. Didn't have any fancy purses, didn't have any fancy clothes. All they had was love and really good hospitality skills, which comes out of love, right? So I thought, well, that's what I want. That's exactly what I want, and that they're showing me how to get it. So I started watching them. How did they do that? They would fix their plates for their husbands. They would not sit down in a chair until every single person in the room had what they needed. You're smiling because you do the same thing. You know what I'm saying, don't you? So I thought, well, I can do that. I want that. So I started doing that for my husband. My girls, I have 2 girls, they still laugh at me because I fix his plate. And we were at his retirement dinner a couple of weeks ago, and the girls he works with are young girls. And they were laughing. And they said, "Are you going to fix Misty's plate?" He said, "No, she knows her role. She's going to fix mine." And girls went, "Oh no, we need to talk to her." But I said, "Ladies, we've been married 37 years. Something's working." Okay, so it was a small gesture, right? I love my husband. He's a good provider. What is it to fix a plate for the man and hand it to him before I eat? You know, it's a small gesture of love. But that is what we're here to talk about, is how we can implement our skills in serving others and just enjoying meals together. Okay? So let's get into it. Our objectives are to look at the significance of our socialization, eating, and health. We want to know factors affecting the needs of older adults, including health and mobility and all of the social connections that we all need, right? We want to look at ways to implement both of these in our everyday lives. The clicker's working much better this time, right? So health and wellness requirements of older adults. We know that overall health, we're dealing with chronic illnesses. And if you have 20 and 30-year-olds in your family, they are too, aren't they? Every single age group, and we both see it in our practices all the time, are experiencing extreme chronic illness, whether it's autoimmune disease, polycystic ovarian disease, infertility issues, heart disease. All these things are happening in our population, in our community, that we want to help overcome those things, okay? The social aspects of shopping, click list is a thing, right? It's amazing. It is amazing for busy moms and and people who have mobility issues, but it also contributes to isolation. What about enjoying food with others? And then, the challenges of cooking for one person, whether you're a 20-year-old and single or whether you're widowed or you're divorced and you have that problem. It's like, I don't want to cook for one. And then we have nutrition, providing that well-balanced diet that satisfies our nutritional requirements. And do we even know what those nutritional requirements are? We need to know those. So we have emotional and social needs. So that support system, that love, that attention, that sense of belonging, that sense of togetherness, right? It really does fuel how we feel about ourselves, doesn't it? And then we have social activities, encouraging interactions and events that combat isolation. You guys are doing it today. You're here with a whole group of other people to learn to do that better, okay? We have mental health, addressing stress, anxiety, depressive symptoms. We need that. We need to be aware of those things and maybe even recognizing it in each other so that we can lend a hand to someone else. You think about people who are isolated and their friend or their kids don't come and see them. Do you ever think, "Hey, do you want to go for a ride? Let's just go get an ice cream cone. Let's go see what they're doing downtown," and drive them through downtown. Can you imagine how that would just uplift their spirits just to get out of the house, to have somebody that cares? So why it matters. Our nutrition and our social connections improve our overall health. Would you agree with that? Makes a big difference, doesn't it? If we feel valued and we feel like we have something to offer. See, those ladies, those grandmothers that I met, they thought their purpose was already done, but it was just starting for me. Don't ever think you're too old to impact somebody else. Because those ladies were in their 70s, and it really made a big difference. Social isolation increases our risk for depression, while social engagement slows cognitive decline by how much? 70%. That's big, isn't it? Inflammation. Miss Jara's going to take us through the cycles of inflammation. It increases and our immune systems weaken when we have social isolation and poor nutrition. It's a big deal. So knowing what to do is important, right? And I'm fascinated with centenarians, all those people that live to be 100. I don't want to live to be 100, just so you know. But I do want to function. I want to be able to do things and have fun. So here are some habits of these 100-year-olds. What do you think their first habit is? You can look. They eat peasant foods. What do you think that means? They don't eat a lot of anything. They eat a variety of things they can grow in their backyard or on their patio. They bend down and they pick it. They're moving. They're always moving, and they have strong social connections. Okay? They get frequent moving. You said that through household chores. They do fresh vegetables, and they season it with fresh herbs. They do a lot of different things with their food to make it taste different. Okay? They have strong family bonds, and they have a clear sense of purpose and a tight social community through church and other organizations. Okay? Those are the things we want. We want those kind of things to help us move forward. Okay? So, what are some barriers for connecting and healthy eating for you ladies?
Don't everybody speak at once?
Too many directions at once and trying to keep up.
For me, low fiber diet, no nuts, no popcorn, very seeds or
Limitations.
Cooking for one.
Cooking for one. Yeah. Who else? Raise your hand.
Or chicken. So,
Yeah.
keep for a lot.
Challenges, aren't they? So we recognize those things, and we're going to talk about that today. I'll let Jara do her.
Okay, so as I was getting ready for this, the term anorexia, when I say that, where does your mind go when we use the term anorexia? Starvation. But as we age, anorexia in aging is really a thing. And it's for lots of different reasons. As we age, we have a decreased appetite, so we're not eating as much. We have functional decline, so maybe you're not able to stand and cook or bend down and get your pots and pans out of the oven. And, there's lots of things that contribute to that. Maybe you don't drive anymore, so getting your groceries is a barrier. So there's lots of things that happen there that cause the anorexia in aging. So I'm going to use, and loss of independence as well. So I'm going to use my mother, who's in her 80s, as an example. She has macular degeneration, so she hasn't been able to drive for several years. Thankfully, she lives next door to us, so we help her, and she does utilize the Kroger Click List to get her groceries, or she depends on my sister, myself, or my daughter to help her transport her, and she does have friends and a good support system. So she's more on the 25% of that aging and anorexia. The 85% would be the person that is in a long-term care facility that maybe doesn't have family that visits them. So that's why there's such a huge range or a gap there. One of the other, number two, the reason as we age, we decline and have issues with nutritionally is decreased absorption of what we eat. So as we age, our digestive system changes for lots of reasons. One of the things that can happen is, how many of you have GERD or reflux or some type of, digestive issue, and then you have to take medication? So the digestive enzymes and your pH and that balance is off because of some of the medications that you take. You're also not absorbing your food because of some other drugs, or it depletes your nutrients. It depletes certain things. So if you're taking a statin, that is one of the drugs that a lot of people are on that works against your body, and it depletes certain nutrients. So you want to make sure that you're getting good variety and good quality of food. As we age, you don't have that same accessibility, so maybe the quality of your food is not as fresh, or it's not as the same quality as it was when you were younger. So those are some reasons. Your micronutrient needs change. So how many of you have ever had your vitamin D checked? Your vitamin D levels? You don't have to raise your hand, but how many of you found out that you were vitamin D deficient? As we age, our vitamin D, our needs change. Again, it's with the absorption, it's with our hormone decrease. We have all that happens as we age. So vitamin D, calcium, your B vitamins, folate, all of those are increased, but we have this decreased absorption. So that's why those specific nutrients are important for us to have.
Excuse me, could you tell me about the B6 and the folate?
B6 and
I see
folate.
that right there.
These are all specific B vitamins, and they help with bone, muscle, and brain and cognition.
What are they? I can't see.
B6, B12, and folate.
So if I take a women's one a day, it's for 55 plus. Those are included in it?
They should be included in there. Yeah. Okay, so protein. As we age, our protein needs significantly increase. Does anybody want to have a guess at why that might be?
Lack of estrogen.
Lack of estrogen. So when you don't have estrogen, what's going on? A lot. I agree. I'm learning that. A lot. One of the things that happen as we age and as our estrogen decreases, we lose muscle. It's called sarcopenia. So as that cycle happens, don't quote me on this statistic, and maybe Misty, you can chime in. But when you're in your 30s and you start this progression or decrease of estrogen, if you're not working to maintain your muscle, you lose 3 to 5% every decade. Is that correct?
It's after menopause.
It's after menopause.
Every year.
Every decade. Yeah.
Every decade.
Yeah. 3 to 5 every year, and 5 every year after that. So let's just we'll talk about the deficiency with seniors, and 90% are vitamin D deficient. We've already talked about that. 60% have a magnesium deficiency. So those are two very important nutrients that you can have checked at your doctor's office to see if you are deficient. Vitamin D is a fat-soluble vitamin. So if you're taking a vitamin D, it should be taken with K, vitamin K. Make sure that you're doing that if you're on a blood thinner called warfarin or Coumadin, that's okay to do. But then also, it's a fat-soluble vitamin, so you need to take it with a meal so it's absorbed better. Protein, as we age, increases 25% after the age of 65. 40% of seniors are not getting enough protein. So I think that'll be a good place to stop. And then we'll come back, we'll talk a little bit more about where you get your protein from, but it looks like our lunch is here. So we'll stop here. And when we talk about protein, what comes to mind for you all? And what you think your requirements are and where you get those sources of protein?
Living alone, egg is so easy.
An egg is easy.
So easy.
And what was the other one?
Red meat.
Red meat. What are some other things that you would think would be?
Yogurt. Beans.
Yogurt, beans, nuts,
Of course, peanut butter.
peanut butter, chicken. Nobody said what I thought you would say.
Protein.
Cottage cheese.
Oh, yeah, right.
Cottage cheese. So protein is so important, and you need to be mindful of the fat that comes with protein. Now, in most of the aging population, they need the calories. So it may or may not be an issue for you. So if calories and watching your calories or a caloric restriction is where you are in your aging process, then you need to be mindful that nuts and seeds and they come with lots of calories. Although they are beneficial and good fats, you just have to be mindful of the quantity that you're having. So peanut butter is quick and easy, but it's not one of the best sources of protein because 2 tablespoons of peanut butter is very high calorie and you're not getting good quality protein in that item. However, cottage cheese, a low-fat cottage cheese or a non-fat Greek yogurt are excellent sources of protein, and they are quick and easy and don't take a lot of preparation. Any lean cut of meat, I don't care if it's beef, chicken, pork, fish, what that is, it needs to be lean and the fat visibly removed from it before you cook it. You need a minimum of 3 ounces when you eat. So that would be 20 grams of protein. You mentioned an egg. Does anybody have any idea how much protein is in one egg? 6 or 7. So yes, eggs are an excellent source of protein. However, to get your minimum of 20 grams, you'd have to eat several eggs. One just isn't going to do it. So a trick that is on social media. I don't know if any of you in here are on TikTok. I don't have TikTok, but it's a thing. On TikTok is adding cottage cheese to your scrambled eggs, and then that increases the protein. And instead of milk, a lot of people are substituting a low-fat cottage cheese in their recipes. So that would be an easy fix for individuals that are home alone and living by themselves. So protein is really important, and like we said, 40% of the individuals of the senior age group do not get enough protein. Dehydration. As we age, our hunger and thirst cues decrease, so we just don't always think about eating and drinking. So seniors are more vulnerable for that reason. Up to 65% of seniors are affected by dehydration. Even individuals younger are chronically dehydrated and they don't know it. So listen to your body. I know when I'm dehydrated because my back hurts. I have swelling when I'm dehydrated. I may have a headache or more muscle tension than normal when I'm dehydrated. So listen to your body, and when you have these little aches and pains, think about what could this be from? What could this be from, and how can I resolve it? Instead of just ignoring it and taking a Tylenol or an ibuprofen. Because it could be related to some of the habits that you're doing. I've already said your sense of thirst declines. Variety is the key. To simplify nutrition for you, the simplest way is, how many in here can remember the way their grandparents ate? So as close to the farm as possible. with the most color possible is the easiest and simplest nutrition advice that I give everybody. So it doesn't have to be complicated. You have half of your plate vegetables, a fourth of it is your protein source, and then a fourth of it is your carbohydrate. It doesn't have to be a big production. In your handouts, I've given you some good examples of how to accomplish what we've just talked about. So, have you ever considered infusing your water? Everybody says they get tired of drinking just plain water. But you can add fruits, vegetables, herbs, spices, some different things to flavor your water, and there's a few recipes that I have there for you. There's tips. How many of you are growing cucumbers right now? And it's producing way more than what you know what to do with? Okay. Well, you can cut those cucumbers up and have cucumber water, and if you've never had it, it is very refreshing. So that's one thing that you could do with all those extra cucumbers, besides pickles. There's a handout on tips to increase protein during your day. So these are actual things that you can take and implement with you. Fiber is one of the things that's also important for us, and I thought I had it on the slides, but I don't know what happened to it. But anyway, there's a handout in here about fiber, and as we age, because of quality, because of decrease in your intake of fruits and vegetables, and just the standard American diet alone does not incorporate enough fiber. So there's a handout about fiber, why it's important, and some sources of fiber, and what you need throughout the day. And then there's just some recipes that are practical recipes that I thought I would share with you. Some are the tip about the egg and the cottage cheese. There's one for these keto egg cups, and there's a variety of ways that you can fix these. You can also freeze them, make them in bulk, freeze them, pull them out when you need them. So, and just defrost them and have them. Mini meatloaves are the same way. Meatloaf is something that I find that a lot of people like, and it's hard to, if you're living home alone, do you want to make a big full-blown meatloaf? Well, have you ever thought about making it in muffin tins? I do that for my family, and then what we don't eat, we freeze, and then my children can pull those out and defrost them, and they have meatloaf, and they have a quick meal when I'm not. So that's an idea. A tuna salad recipe, a Greek yogurt chicken salad. So instead of using mayonnaise, you can use Greek yogurt, and that increases the protein in that item. There's a recipe for air fryer salmon, fruit salsa, creamy cucumber salad with yogurt and dill. So there's just some different ones here that I thought I would share that would be practical for you all. But variety is the key. Every color provides a different nutrient profile. So as you're doing your meal planning and your grocery shopping, think about, when's the last time I had something that was purple? And think about all the foods that are purple that you could do that with. Or when's the last time I had something that was orange or yellow or red? Or, do you always buy white potatoes, or have you ever bought the blue ones or the red skin potatoes? Peppers are the same way. Do you always just get the green ones, or do you get yellow, red, and some of the other varieties? Onions. So just think about how you can continue to increase color, and then that way you're going to increase variety in your nutrients. So what happens when we don't get the foods that we need? We find that all disease processes start with inflammation. So when you have inflammation in your body because you don't have the correct nutrients, you're stuck in this hamster wheel or this cycle of inflammation that's causing pain, that's causing weight gain, and that's causing cardiovascular health. So when you go to the grocery store, you want to get things that are closer to the farm, that have lots of color, like we talked about, so you can get yourself out of this hamster wheel of inflammation. Anything you want to add to?
I do. I like how she brings up that is the root of chronic illness, because when you think of metabolic disease and you think of prediabetes and diabetes and all the autoimmune and the arthritis, all the itises, that's all inflammation. And so the choices we make every day are making a big impact on our inflammation at the cellular level that we don't think about. We think about the back pain, we think about, the arthritis, the knees and the hips, but we don't really connect that to what we're eating a lot of times. And so that's what we're trying to show you today is how to connect the dots and how to make a plan to move forward. Okay? So when you think about, this is Erwin McManus says that when we have wisdom, because we all want to break the cycle, don't we? We want to break the cycle of inflammation. We want to break the cycle of chronic disease. We want to think about how we're going to do that on a daily basis. So when we have wisdom, we're going to live for the future in the present. You can take a picture of this if you want. This is good words. These are his words, not mine. But think about that statement. How do you live for the future in the present? I didn't know when I was emulating my husband's grandmothers that I was preparing for my future. I just knew that was something I wanted. So I started mimicking what they did and trying to learn from them. Do you see how that works? You sacrifice the present for the future. Yeah, that donut looks really good, but I do know that has 0 protein and 0 fiber and a whole lot of fat, a whole lot of sugar, and a whole lot of white processed flour that's going to increase my inflammation, right? Whereas the fat-free Greek yogurt, I can put some strawberries on and some walnuts, a little bit of flaxseed meal, and really, really enjoy that just as well. In all honesty, I take the Oikos Greek yogurt that's 0, 000 vanilla flavored, put my strawberries in it. I feel like I'm eating ice cream. I just feel like I'm eating ice cream. I'm like, ice cream or donut? I'd much rather have the ice, the
Kind of like that, blueberries and strawberries.
yeah. See, there's ways to do it, isn't there? Yeah. So that's how we sacrifice the present for the future. We want to feel better, and we want to make choices that help us feel better. We do not make choices that cost us our future. Woo, that's a big one. What are some examples that we've talked about today? We don't want to make choices that cost us our future. Thinking about inflammation again, what's a choice that would contribute to inflammation and cost us a little bit out of, I might not get to go to that movie with my friend if I'm aching because of, because of something I did the night before, something I ate the night before. Or, do you know what I'm saying? Do you see how that can cost us our future? All right. So daily choices determine outcomes, and we'll take a look at that intentional eating tool that you have. It looks like this. This is something that I like to do with my clients just for their awareness, because we all need to have some awareness, right? These are for your eyes only, so you can be as honest as you want to be, okay? But I want you to think about, at the top of that, it says, how important is your health on a scale of 1 to 10? You see that on the line? You put a number on that line. How important is it's on your paper. Do you see it? How important is your health on a scale of 1 to 10? Right above that, you see, you'll have a score. Does everybody have their score? How important your health is on a scale of 1 to 10? Do you have plans for them?
My problem is sometimes it's up there at 10. Sometimes it's down to 2.
Okay. So we'll talk about. You mean the importance of your health? That's what we're talking about. We're talking about how important is your health.
It should always be at 10.
Well, you just be honest with what it is for you, because it's going to vary, right? Like you said. Okay. So when we look at this wellness wheel, this could be individuals. This could be you and your husband. This could be you if you have custody of your grandchildren. It could be people in your home. Okay. So our choices have the power to build or hinder our immune systems, our cardiovascular systems, and our chances of getting cancer over time. So that's why when we say, how would you rate your value of your family's health on a scale of 1 to 10? 1 is not important and 10 is very important. Okay? So this food tool is going to help us evaluate and link our values and our choices. So when you see the top here, it says choosing or giving fruit with fiber in it 2 to 3 times per day. I'm going to be very not intentional about it, or I'm going to be very intentional. So that just means, 2 to 3 would mean I'm occasionally intentional about that. 4 to 5 could be I'm minimally intentional about that. A 6 to 7 means that, somewhat intentional. Or 10 is I'm very intentional about making sure I get 2 to 3 of these a day. So you're going to put a number in that little pie, that little section, 1 to 10. Does that make sense?
It's what we actually do.
It's what you actually do. Well, it's okay. It's okay. This is just an awareness tool. That's all it is. Just to help us think about things a little deeper. Because we don't like to think about anything deep, right? All right. Choosing or giving fast food like McDonald's less than twice a week. I can be non-intentional about that. I'm just hungry. I'm going through the drive-thru. Doesn't matter to me. I'm not intentional about that at all. Or I could be very intentional about it. I eat more than twice a week. Or somewhere in between. Okay? That's just where we are. So put your number right here in this section. Everybody got their number? All right, moving on. This one said, choosing or giving sodas, juice, sweetened coffee beverages, 1 or less per day. I'm either going to be not intentional about that, or I'm going to be very intentional about that, or somewhere in between. Does that make sense? Okay. You got your number? You're catching on with this, aren't you? Yeah, let's include that too. Because sucralose and aspartame are not the greatest, right? Okay. The next one is choosing or giving breakfast sugar in cereals, Pop-Tart, donuts, 5 days a week. I'm going to be very intentional about that, a 10, or I'm not going to be intentional about that, or somewhere in between. Does that make sense? You see why it's for your eyes only? Okay. There's no guilt. There's no shame. It's an awareness tool. Okay? Okay. 3 to 4 servings of vegetables per day, at least 5 days a week. I'm going to be not intentional 1, very intentional a 10, or somewhere in between. Oh, them thinking caps are going. Look at them. I see the smoke. You are not looking at me. This is an awareness tool. Okay? The next one is choosing or giving whole grains, oats, wild rice, etc. every day. Fiber. Jara told us the importance of fiber. We're trying to get to the bottom of the fiber. Are we intentional about eating fiber? I can be very intentional, a 10, or not intentional, or somewhere in between. You know, honestly, some people just don't think about it. But that's why we're here. We care about it because we know how it is affecting our communities. We see the chronic disease, we see the chronic illness, we see the pain, we see the suffering, and we're tired of it. We want people feeling better, okay? So if we're not intentional about the choices we make, there's no way any of us can get any better, right? All right. Choosing to eat or give candy as a reward once or less per day. I can be very intentional about that and give myself a 10, or I can be not intentional and just every time I walk past the candy jar, I'm throwing a piece of candy in there. Or I'm giving it to a kid every time they do the behavior I want them to do. Instead of just giving them a hug. Good job. Okay. Choosing or giving water intake 6 to 8 ounces per day. 6 to 8 ounce glass per day. Jara talked about how important hydration is for aches and pains. Hydration is important for our kidneys. It's important for our cardiovascular health. Important. Okay? It helps with decreasing headaches. A lot of times kids are just dehydrated when they have a headache. So I'm going to be, again, 10 very intentional, a 1 or somewhere in between. So, everybody have all their 8 pies filled out? Okay, add them together. You got them added up? You already did yours. You already did it. So you're going to, if you need a little calculator, you can use it to add up your numbers. And then you're going to divide by 8. So once you have all of your little areas added up, you're going to divide it by 8. Okay? You got it? So all of these sections, there are 8 sections that you put numbers in. You're going to add all of those numbers up and divide by 8 because there are 8 sections. Okay? Look at you grinning.
I just told her I don't think we should give ourselves a 10 on any category because none of us are perfect.
None of us are perfect. Did you hear what she just said? I'm so glad you said that.
There?
Yeah. You're mostly intentional.
Yeah. I give myself 10 on 3 things because with my health issues,
You have to be. See, that's what we want. We want discussion. So one person says, nobody's perfect. I'm not going to put a 10 down. And then she said, there's some things I have to be perfect about because of my health. She's right. Both of you are right. Correct?
Can you tell her sisters? Noticed this. Became severely sick due to something that I ate that I shouldn't have eaten. And so I'm in the airport vomiting.
Yeah.
So I have to have lots of water. I have to eat certain things.
Absolutely.
Work our way through it.
You're absolutely right because we have to take it seriously. When we have a very bad setback, we have to take things seriously. And that's what this whole tool is about, is to help us take it a little bit more intentional. Okay? So if what you're going to do is you're going to divide by 8. And how does my intentional point score line up with my health value score? Okay? So if I value my health at 10, Do my choices add up to a 10 also? Or if my value is a 10 and my choices are a 4, what do I want to do about that? Do you see what I'm saying?
Please, Sam.
Well, let me be very, very honest with you. Awareness is the first place to start. Then you find your why. Why do I want to do it? I don't want to be in pain. I want to be around for my grandchildren. I want to be that woman that sets an example for the next generation. I want to teach the next generation how to feel good and love and laugh and play and do the things that give us life and joy. Okay? So just thinking about that. Okay? If you need more help, Miss Jara has all kinds of goodies. I have all kinds of goodies. What are your ideas to stop the cycle of inflammation? Remember, she talked about the back pain and dehydration. She talked about the protein and the muscle wasting, the sarcopenia that we all experience after the age of 50. All those things.
Small change. One thing I
Love it. She's okay. Intentional exercise. Start with small things, just one thing, she said.
How many of you get overwhelmed by doing all the things and you do all the things consistently for maybe 2 days and then you don't do anything because you were so overwhelmed doing all the things? So that's
You're very right.
yes.
You're absolutely right. She said, breaking those habits. So we're going to talk about that, okay? What about the isolation part? Does anybody have any input on that?
We've already talked about that.
Oh,
isolation. Do you mean
so if you're
groups?
okay.
People, you're trying. There's a movie to me that this part.
Well, so who lives alone? Several. Who lives with just a spouse? Do you want to cook every day?
No way.
How often do you want to cook? How often do you want to eat at home? Let's just start there. What's that? Me too, girl. Me too. They can't cook any better than me. That's right. Well, but that's not for everybody, right? Yeah. See, did you hear what she said? When someone comes for dinner, she will do it. So let's start and let's get us where we want to go. So the next one is what to do. We want to increase social interaction. Okay? What'd she say?
My son's pretty there.
Invite yourself over. Oh, that sounds great. I'll be there in 10 minutes. On my way. On my way, yes. That's good. Social eating increases our meal satisfaction by 30%, studies show. It helps to have somebody care about you, doesn't it? It helps to have someone to cook for, doesn't it?
I have family close and they may cook and bring me to me a meal, or if I cook, because could eat all the canned green beans, and if they want to day, they eat that. It really works.
Yeah, sharing really works for her, she says.
Think about all the things in life that we do that involves food. When we're happy and we celebrate, we eat. When we're sad and grieving, we eat. When we, no matter what it is, we're eating. So eating is very social. So we're trying to give you different ideas to help you improve the socialization when it comes to eating for those reasons.
And the shared preparation reduces your burden. You don't want to be the person to cook a 10-course meal and then have to be the person to clean it up too. That's never any fun, is it? So, engaging the help of others and just meeting with others and dividing the tasks, trusting them to do the task is part of it, right? Okay. So gathering ideas. What if we did family style meals to improve variety and intake? Okay. Think back to when you used to cook a lot. What were your favorites? What were your kids' favorites? Casseroles are easy, right? What's your favorite casserole? Soup? Did somebody say soup?
I said soup.
I love a soup. Love a good soup. We got some ideas for that. What if you gathered with 3 girlfriends and said, we're all going to cook 3 different soups and we're going to bring our plastic bowls with lids, okay? And then we're going to divide the soup up and everybody's going to take a soup home and you're going to have a different soup every day. Does that make sense? So 3 girlfriends, 3 different soups, bring your bowls. Okay? You can do the same with salads, right? I work for a doctor's office and we decided on our office meetings, we decided to do salad. And we had not been to the grocery store. We didn't plan anything. We just said, we're bringing salads. Bring a salad topping. So there were 9 of us. We had the best salads I have ever eaten. I'm not kidding. They just pulled stuff out of their refrigerator and brought it. Nobody went to the store and got anything, and we all had something different. And it was really, really fun, and it was very, very tasty. So, just thinking about ways of doing that with a couple of girlfriends. How many of you do Bible study or church groups or sewing groups or reading? Who does book club? You do a book club. So there's so many ways. How many of you are homemakers? So you guys are experienced, right? So there's ways you can gather with people to do that. What about apartment buildings or complexes? How many of you are in apartment buildings? Okay. What about like condos, where your condo is? How many of you go to the Y? Okay, they have a great meeting room where you could do that, right? What about fruit and cheese exchange? Like, what are they called? Crudité? Charcuterie boards. Those are great, aren't they? Have you seen them? They're easy. Very easy. You could say, okay, you can bring grapes and you can bring strawberries and you get protein and you get the fiber and, have fun with that. What are your ideas?
I like the day and making brownies or whatever, and taking them to the avenue where they serve the meals for the homeless people,
Did you hear what she just said? That's serving, isn't it? And it's just a simple brownie mix, and she cut them up and took them to people.
Yeah, so done it out of brownie mix in a few minutes, and you got a very big pan of brownie and I hope very much. That thing.
And she's like me, that's satisfied.
Yeah.
And I'm the only one at home. If I fix a box of brownies for me, and I'm not a big chocolate person, but I still probably keep them a third mix in there. Or if I take them someplace, I need to have it.
Right. See, that's the whole
But
thing.
it also miss the days where I used to fix all those sweets and appetizers and things, whatever.
Right.
So
When you do that and you serve others, it gives you a purpose of belonging and pride.
And I take lots of books up there and put in the little library. And when I was over, I got some today. When I go back, I have never seen one book ever taken. It was still there when I could.
That's really a way to share your talents and your ability and the things that you love with other people. Very good. Thank you for sharing that.
Something that I have done since my husband passed away is had space in my house. One person, I opened an Airbnb in my home, and it's not a separate entry. They say in my home. It has been a true blessing.
Wow.
True blessing. Made a very good friend who stays with me regularly, but she works at the hospital and she comes twice a month. And I mean, it's good for her. It's good for me. It's a win-win.
So she brings up a really good point. She's reaching out after a death in the family, which is important, right? She lost someone very important to her, and opening up her home brought that connection that she needed with another person. We need connection, don't we?
And not only did it provide someone for me to eat with frequently, it also supplemented income.
Yeah.
Which is, good. Yes.
Absolutely.
I grew up watching the TV show The Golden Girls. And think about those ladies and how they connected and what they were able to accomplish, even though it was a sitcom and fictional, but they created the bonds and shared responsibilities and they were together. And that's what we're trying to communicate today is the importance of that.
That's what Our Lady Bibles calls herself, the Golden
Girls.
And we've been visiting shut-ins that came to the church, and we've been fixing meals for them.
See, that is perfect. Isn't that a great idea? Perfect idea.
And
So, yes.
being shut in 24/7.
And it's probably a bigger blessing for you taking it. You know what I mean? I mean, you both get blessed, but it's like, we're just seeing the looks on their faces and the happiness that you brought. Yes, very much so. So thank you very much for listening. Well, I hope you take all those ideas Jara gave you and use them, put them to use. If you need any of my stuff, mine's at MystyPfeffer.com. I have a 12-week metabolic program that I do, and it is specifically designed for behavior change. It is the 12-step program. It is the 12-week program, and it's designed after the cardiac rehab unit that I worked for. We did education, and I did samples when I taught their nutrition classes, and we just did a lot of motivational type talking with them and figuring out, your why. So that's what this program's about. And that can be done with groups. That can be done with church groups. That can be done, with businesses or wherever you're needed. Okay. Jara has her card. She's at Meadowview.
I'm at Meadowview. I didn't bring my card with me. However, on the first handout, the water one, my phone number and information is on the back of that handout. So if you're interested in meeting with me one-on-one, we can do that as well. You can contact me at the hospital. Depending on your insurance, it may or may not be covered, but we can figure that out. If your insurance doesn't cover it, we have a self-pay rate set up. The initial visit is usually $50 a visit because in that initial, I'm fact-finding. I want to get to know you and your why and why you're there to see me. And then we set some goals and then we can have some follow-up visits afterward. So I'm also on social media. I'm trying to do more and more on social media to get the word out about nutrition. And Misty has her wellness topics that she does on occasion. My message is your weight, it's more than the number on the scale and the size of your britches. I mean, being healthy is not about the size of your britches and it's not about, the number on the scale. It's at the metabolic level and we forget about that and we can be healthy in different body shapes and sizes because God made us all different and we shouldn't all look the same. And all of our bodies are different. So that's the approach that I take in my nutrition counseling. It is to bring awareness to where you are and then to help and guide you where you want to go. I'm definitely not the food police. Everybody thinks when they come meet with me, I'm going to give you a big long list of, like Santa Claus, a big list that you can't have. But that's not what I do. I work within what you need and work to make small changes to move you in the right direction. Thank you, David.
So thank you. Try talking from that.